the next 3 or 4 years. And there's some very exciting things going on there. There's a huge expat community, UK-based, former UK-based now there. We have pubs. We have pubs at the end of the road of the office. We sit outside and we drink pints of Guinness, which is something what we've missed since moving out here.
Yeah.
There are other alcoholic options, by the way, not just Guinness. There are other beers available. But I think the key thing is that part of the world, this part of the world, it's all about growth, entrepreneurial mindset. The print industry is thriving. It's slightly behind in some parts, in some areas, maybe say software, automation, that part. But in terms of understanding the need of production and the presses, it's really exciting. Digital signage is huge as well, and that's sort of a bolt-on to the print industry out in the GCC, as we call it. But Ras Al Khaimah has got the first casino in the Middle East being built, and it opens in 2027. And off the back of the wind resort, which is what it's called, it has just had a domino effect of innovation and businesses moving out there. And on the back of that, people like myself have been asked and welcome to set up. And there's crazy things going on. They're talking about, air taxis from Dubai to Ras Al Khaimah in 2027. It was part of the opening, and they've announced it now. So it's the place. If you haven't heard of it, you will hear of it soon.
Amazing. So you're living life out there just now then. How long have you been out there?
We've been out just over a year. Obviously, travel to the States and Europe is a bit longer than we would like. But in terms of the balance of life, family life, and do you know what, Colin? Just being away from all the negativity of what's going on in with the Western economics and the Western culture, it's just enabling you to focus on the things that matter. And if we go back to that whole kind of human sustainability piece, our priorities are our family and what we do and our time, and they're really important values in the Middle East culture. Is family and your work-life balance. So I would really recommend it, and especially if things are tough or people are finding it hard. Yes, it's tax-free, and obviously that's a huge help. And petrol's a lot cheaper, and that's another huge help. But it's not just about that. There's so many factors, and the world economics and world politics are going to take some time to level out and rectify. And I think there's nothing you can do while that happens. It's got to run its course. So rather than being caught up in that or being affected by it, we decided to make the move and focus on the family.
Yeah, I won't lie. I'm sitting here in a freezing cold office in Scotland just now, and your background looks like it's nice and warm and sunny.
It's a bit warm, We got aircon on. we got but it's. I'm not going to moan about it. It's great. But having said that, I miss going to places like Scotland, Edinburgh, Glasgow. They're very special cities, and I think you're very lucky to live there as well.
Just a bit cold. Just a bit cold. So let's rewind a little bit to kind of when you come into the world of kind of print and marketing. What pulled you in the first place, and have you always been kind of fairly entrepreneurial?
So I was at university. Back in those days, it was an IT degree. Whatever that is. I mean, it was obsolete by the time I finished the course, the speed that that industry moves. But as part of that degree, you had to look at every facet of the world of IT. So from programming through to building a PC, through to building a website and sort of elements of marketing. So that was something I really enjoyed, those kind of design-based modules. That was really, 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 really important to me. So I came away from that and basically wanted to focus on the creative side of things, if that makes sense. And then off the back of that, well, actually at the time I was actually a semi-professional athlete. I don't know if I've told you this.
Yeah,
I was running and traveling and everything else. I was kind of coming to the end of my career because my body was breaking, and I discovered what was then my girlfriend, now my wife, which is also a bit of a factor. The local Olympic Authority was in town for London 2012. So we're talking about 2010 sort of time. And I had the ability to sort of focus on marketing activities, building a digital sort of set up for London 2012. So I thought, right, I've got an opportunity here. I'm going to go for it because, I might not never see another Olympics in the UK again, let alone work at one. So I was pretty much a one-man band, and I worked at London 2012. And it went really well for both, for me and the company at the time, and also for all the NGBs. So it was England Athletics, Scottish Athletics, Welsh Athletics, Northern Ireland, Team GB. We worked on all the test events, and off the back of that, business came through, and it just went from there really. And then before we knew it, we had an agency, and we were doing exceptionally well. Actually, funny enough, I managed to get a piece of the London Olympic Stadium after the games finished, and I've actually got it framed, and I had it shipped out here when I moved to Oman. So It follows me around the world. So, and that's my reminder that honestly anything can happen if you put yourself forward and go for it and be brave, that you can generally achieve anything. That was where it really started. University, it's a very small operation, got a lucky break, and then I slowly found the print space, working with print companies and software company, Infigo, and just went from there. And I think the bit I loved about the print industry was it's technical and creative. It's both.
Yeah.
So you have the best technical minds and you have the best creative minds. And then you had this entrepreneurial mindset of the answer is yes. Now what's the question? And I love that. And I think we don't celebrate that enough. So that was kind of my baptism of fire, if you like. And then 2016, I was fortunate enough to sell the agency. And then I worked for Infigo as their marketing director from there.
Nice. Good story. Listen, I'm a strong believer. You create your own luck. These things don't happen just by chance. You've obviously put the right vibes out into the space to have the success you've had.
Too kind.
your time at Infigo, obviously you were leading global marketing for that brand. Are there any moments that kind of shaped how you approach business today? Because I'm guessing there were a lot of lessons in your time there.
Yeah, I was very lucky. Some very, very good, should we say, teachers or guides or people that were really sort of schooling us up in the world of print. Because you can't. It's a hard one. You've got to understand what the printer's going through, what the PSP challenges are. You've got to understand that, because that really makes it easier for you to do your job. At the same time, you don't want to think necessarily or like a PSP, because you can do. You're not going to do give them the right product or service to achieve the goal they want. So it's a bit of an apprenticeship. It's learning. It's understanding what presses they have, what machinery they have, who's working what, how's it connected, where the challenges are. And so that was, the mentors were fantastic there in Figo. But I think one of the things that was really good for me, and it was actually a Printing United show. We had a couple of events where we experimented, and I got the lay of the land that we had a solid brand and we had a good customer base, and we were getting some good interest in. But it was one of those where we were at Printing United. I think it was Atlanta. And we were confident that if you implemented the platform, but you also implemented it with the right processes, and you not just invested in the platform, but you made sure the platform spoke to your MIS, and your MIS spoke to your positioning, and all the other workflow items were addressed, you would get your ROI. And we went there with some very good case studies. People that were in North America making profit on a $50 job, or $150 orders, were making good money. But that's because they'd adopted this process, this framework. So we were like, we're giving back time to the PSP here. We're giving back time. Yeah. We know we are. We've got the proof to back it up. So the gift of time is a gift, and we thought, right, who better to give a gift than Santa Claus? So we thought, right, we're going to go to Printing United, and we're going to have our booth made up as a Christmas theme booth, right? And we're going to have Santa, and he's going to give the gift of time. Now, first of all, the company thought I was mental. Well, I am. But second of all, they went with it, and I said to them, "This is how we're going to do it," and blah blah blah. And we had Christmas trees on the booth, and when we were setting the booth up, I don't know if you guys, if you know, when you're setting up for a trade show, you have like these like little islands of carpet before they lay the carpet out. And you've got all these workers, these union workers in North America, with their hard hats on, their high vis, and they're whistling. And they'd come past and they'd see this Christmas booth that you're putting together. And it would strike one or two options, okay? And it would be, oh my God, man, like we can't be doing Christmas, not before Thanksgiving or before Halloween or whatever, it's too early. And then they'd talk to you though, they'd engage with you, but they had to tell you it was too early. Second of all, it would be, oh my God, it's amazing. I love Christmas. So either way, at that point, I was like, yes, we're onto something because we've sparked, an interaction here, so we can, if it goes like this tomorrow at the show, then we know that we're going to be able to, even the naysayers, pull them in, have a conversation. What, you don't like Christmas? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you know what I mean? So you've got that hook. So anyway, it was that show really that it was kind of the positive disruption piece came in, and we really kind of got a bit of a blueprint, because actually we never, I don't think as an industry, really explore the creative side of what we can do. So if you think about putting together a trade show, you can print and make and build everything all within your partner network.
Yeah.
So we had Christmas trees. We had Santa Rick, who was the official Santa of the Atlanta Braves there. And not only did he come onto the booth, and we had queue of people wanting to have selfies with Santa Rick, of course, and then we've got the leads coming in great. Then we said to him, right, here's a list of all our integration partners. You're now going to their booths as well. They loved it.
Genius.
The photos were great, but the best bit was, and I have to thank my US marketing manager for this. She was able to tie us in with a House of Representatives for the state of Georgia, who was very big on children's homes in Atlanta. And what we did, we managed to spend some of the marketing budget on toys for kids, and then we got Santa to officially hand over that bag of toys to the politician, and then we covered it on English TV and stuff. So it was great, and I think that just made me realise that we need to have more fun in what we do. And actually, it's a great way of showcasing the tangible print, bringing campaigns to life, and just pushing the envelope a little bit. Like, no, it's not going to offend anyone. Or it might do if you don't like Christmas, but so
yeah,
I'd say that.
I love that story.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant story. I love that. You've obviously worn a lot of hats: creative, strategic, technical. When did the spark for kind of AI first innovation kind of really light you up?
Do you know what? I think you say that all those three things you just mentioned, they're all connected. They're all strategic. And, it's not me that does all the design. I don't do that. I think about what we're trying to deliver and then work back. If you think about the creative, you think about the automation, you think about the technical, you think about the strategy, it's all strategy. So when AI comes up and you're like, well, first of all, it's the future. You've got the 1,000-day thing where people are saying, obviously, our jobs are going to go and Terminator 2 Judgment Day style thing. You got that. So therefore, you have to understand it. You have to learn it. But second of all, you have to understand how you can adopt it, but then help everyone take it on board. I gave a talk in Berlin. I think you were there. Vespa Global, I think it was.
I sadly didn't make it this year. I had some personal stuff that happened, but yeah, I did hear about you doing this.
It was a good talk. You missed a good one. But my point was that part of that talk was about the elder generation. We've got an Asian working population now, right? And we were highlighting a business in the US, Mindfire Inc., and how the CEO has taken older team members and invested his time into how they can use AI. And what the results have been is empowerment, confidence, and actually more productivity. So I saw the AI piece, and I saw how it needs to be part of personalization, print on demand, the stuff that I'm really interested in. It needs to be part of that. It needs to be done the right way. So I just spent some time with some consultants in Dubai who basically just remapped the way of thinking about it. And actually what they do is they sit down with you and they put together sessions, and basically along the lines of we're not going to use the word AI. And I'm like, okay, and this is really clever, because actually you shouldn't. You should look at you've got a problem or a challenge. You use a software solution to fix that problem or challenge, right? So yeah, it was really, really interesting, and off the back of that, they've been really educational on how we can bring that mindset into the print space, and then working with the likes of InFocus and Print IQ, you understand very, very quickly that their technical teams also think the same, that actually there's a lot of fluff around AI, and they've actually already been using it in terms of challenge solution based architecture. So to answer your question, so it's a very elongated answer, but to answer your question, I just see it part of the strategy. It just needs to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, and I think those that don't adopt that into their strategy, they're going to get left behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Now, listen, you've got a massive network in the industry, I know that from the time we've known each other. Has there ever been a time where you maybe that wasn't the case and you felt like a bit of an outsider in the industry? And if so, how did you deal with it?
Yeah, do you know what? I think everyone does. I think if you're not from the print space and you come into it, I think you do feel like an outsider. I think because it's such a in-depth and complex industry, naturally you always will be. And I used to say to people coming to Infigo, don't try and learn everything on the industry. Like just try and listen and ask questions, because it is an apprenticeship, right? I think it is. I don't think you can you can move from one industry to another and just expect to get it. You can't. Yeah. I don't think you can come in sales, marketing, HR, whatever, engineering, development, and expect just to suddenly understand that you can transfer. Yes, you can transfer some of those skills over, but it's not that simple. You have to understand what goes on the factory floor of a print shop, right? You have to understand, some of the idiosyncrasies of your label converter, or, you make cartons or general commercial print. But I think the point it changes is when you've done your time. So I think about 5-6 years in, things start to change, because naturally you've been exposed, you're aware, you're talking to people. So I think it did feel like that 100%. I'd say for a good 5 years, it just felt like you're just constantly like, when am I going to learn all this? And it does just suddenly like click, and you just have to be happy to go with it.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we've touched on Printing United a few times in the conversation already. You have just been announced as one of the Expo All-Stars this year. Tell me about that. How did that what does that recognition kind of mean to you, kind of both personally and professionally as well?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, first of all, thank you, because you're my captain. So, I need to pay homage to you, the skipper. I said to you I'd bring this up, didn't I? I can't think of anyone else. It has feelings of the Ryder Cup, didn't it, Colin? But got that one in there for our American friends. No, it's great. I mean, originally I was a last minute entry, but it's still nice to be included. I love this show, if I'm honest. It's my favourite show. I tell all my customers it's the one show you should do. If you can only do one show a year, do Printing United. I think I said to you off air, I think it's the Olympics of the print show. It means a lot. It means a lot, because I think I respect them as an organisation hugely. Obviously, I expect the others as well, but they've brought some consistency for the last 4 years of the events, with probably some outside influences that could have affected them, and they could have used their excuses, but they still managed to bring the numbers in year on year. They're always hitting between 28 and 30,000 through the door. It always generates good leads. They manage to cover multiple verticals. They put out so much content throughout the year. You don't see this up and then down dip you normally get. So I think it's great, and I think it means a lot, Colin. And also the team that you're skippering is pretty strong as well. There's some really big names in there, and I feel a little bit honoured to be part of that.
Yeah, I must admit, I had a similar reaction, because I'd been kind of in chats with them for quite some time about the ambassador style kind of program, and when I seen the names of some of the other people kind of that we're going to be kind of working with out there. Like, you feel pretty humbled because there's not one person in there that kind of isn't an absolute legend in this industry. So, so to be on a team alongside every single one of them is a real honour and a privilege. And it's going to be a hell of a blast next week when we head out there. What are you looking forward to most from the show?
Do you know what? I'm just looking at my pad, and I've got so much to look forward to. I think for me, I'm in a different space, so I'm here first and foremost with the All Stars and working on that press media day. Working with the partners, that's really important. I think networking with you guys, I feel as if I'm on a bit of a journey at the moment, learning from you guys as well, which is fantastic. Seeing customers. I recently was lucky last week. I was in Atlanta where I got to see a couple of clients, spend some time at HP, working on some D-Scoop projects. One of which was Sheet for Brains, and the power of the face-to-face connection was something that I'd really underestimated, and spending that week focused on relationships and partners really, really felt good. So I'm excited to go back and do that again next week with customers and partners again. I'm excited to speak to, I've got so many conversations booked in to discuss things that are ideas. And like you said, we're very busy. But at the AI Pavilion, I'm looking forward to seeing how that transpires. I've got a few partners involved in that. I'm looking forward to seeing the Harry Potter theme from In Focus. So that, again, positive disruption. They're very much in that mindset. So I think the week's going to fly by, Colin, because there's so much to do. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, I was talking to Amanda last night actually, and I was saying, that I'm dreading the come down from it all, because it's been such hype and like so much energy going into this that it's going to go very quickly, and I'm going to be. But again, the planning for next year starts straight away, I guess, doesn't it? So,
well, you said to me, sorry to interject, but you said to me, think about 2026. We should be planning 26 now, and we should be getting our prospects and our customers and our partners to as well. So I think you're right. Like, it's 2026 should be the front of mind going to Print United next week.
100%. I mean, I was looking at my diary just before we come on. I've got 6 international events booked in for next year already. Like, it's just nuts. Like, I don't know where this year's gone at all. So, 2026 is very much at the forefront. And I think it was Chris and Mark that I had on the podcast that they were talking about Printing United. As you said, there's content going out all the time. Like, it's the 362 days of the year that kind of building up to this. It's kind of, obviously the expo's just a 3-day event, but there's stuff happening all the time. So just going with that momentum. But we're going to have a blast out there, buddy. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Now let's talk about the rise of Digitalink. So it's been self-described as an AI-powered marketing collective. Which is quite a big, bold concept. What does that actually look like in your day-to-day work?
So let me explain that, a bit more context and why we're so confident. Obviously, we as a team, we've got the creative side. We can put the content together, the strategy, and we understand the need of connectivity, automation, and integrating, and what that brings as an ROI to the customer. But again, we're going into a space where the landscape is going to change on a daily basis, and it's going to be very, very hard to deal with that. And again, I'm getting older now, Colin. I've got to think about like who's going to be behind that, right? So, and I'm very much aware that the generations coming out of university now they've got a different mindset. So back in February, I think it was, or I can't remember when it was now, just before I met you, we partnered with a company called Smart Elephant. And led by Harrison Bailey. Smart Elephant is pretty much a development AI house, and the difference with those guys is they don't worry about the language string. They use their prompts through their AI to manipulate all language types. So what happens is they become a very cheap resource, because if you think about it, in our world, or when we were growing up, you'd learn one language string and you just code that and that would be it, and you'd be paid to sit there and do C++, JavaScript, whatever it may be. These guys just like, yeah, it's fine, we can do that, and they work at a pace which is frightening, and that's how they're churning out of the universities now, these tech schools, with this attitude of, yes, we can do it. So we teamed up with those guys, and it's been really refreshing. And we've done a few projects out here in the Middle East with hotel chains like Radisson Blu, and we've been able to get data and forecasting and alert general managers of hotels for things that you could dream about knowing ahead of time, ahead of your competition, because of having this kind of can-do software AI-powered mindset. So that's a big part of our stack, a big part of our offering. We add that print experience, but we also have the ability to sort of power it with software, and it could be something simple as building an app, to integrate. It could be just simple as doing an API call, whatever, an integration. It could be just building storefronts and maintaining them, but it's all important roles, and there's not really anyone doing that, so which is why we say AI powered. It's a big part of it. And again, we don't like to sort of focus on those two letters AI. We like to focus on the challenge and then providing the solution for the challenge, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You've obviously built a super strong network of certainly some of the most creative minds. You mentioned Harrison there. I had the pleasure of meeting him in California as well, and really switched on kind of guy. So you're working with some of the most kind of creative minds in the space. What do you look for when you're kind of exploring potential new collaborators or partners?
Do you know what? You just know, like, if you trust your own judgment, you'll know there'd be an energy, there'd be a mindset that you can just tell that that's the right person. Because again, it's a tough industry to work in. We're going to be under the cosh at some point in the project. We're going to be under. It doesn't matter how organized you are or how good your processes are. The printer, the PSP, the partner, whatever, they're going to have something that will come out left field that's going to catch you on the hop. Building up to a trade show proves that. We've got great customers. They've had fantastic campaigns. There's been one or two things that no one's seen will come out left field. And as a team, you've got to be agile and you've got to be willing to be able to move on that. And you've got to be happy to do it as well. You've got to be happy to put the hours in. But I think the biggest thing as well as that energy and that can-do attitude is having a sense of humour. Because I think if you can laugh and enjoy it while the roof's falling in, and I think you can go for anything. And I think the biggest part, I think, for us, and you can testament to this when we met in California, having a beer at the end of it and just like having fun and just letting it go and not taking yourself too seriously. So yeah, I generally, you get that gut feeling in the first 30 seconds, I think. And I think, I remember when I met you and I think...
Don't do it.
Well, I won't say too much, but I love that.
Yeah.
And you were so respectful with it, but it stayed with me. And ever since, like, I'll never forget that. And I remember that.
Well, you can tell the story.
I said to you, what do you do? And you said to me, well, I've had a few drinks, so I don't want to come across arrogant, but I'm probably the world's only qualified print coach. And I went, the world's, and then that was it. I was off. I was like, title, it was like Olympic champion.
This is why you shouldn't drink, children. Anyone listening in, but we'd obviously it was a big final D-scoop party. Probably too many sherbets had been shared, and
too many.
It's probably something I should rave about a bit more. But I mean, listen, there's a lot of business coaches out there. There's certainly a lot in our space. I've kind of clung on to this point that I believe I'm still the only fully certified one who's registered with the Worldwide Association of Business Coaches. And as I say this, everyone else is out there trying to see how they can do that now. But yeah, this is why I should stick to my alcohol-free beers. But never mind.
Because I have to say, again, like going on the gut, you were honest. You were like, I've been drinking. I don't want to come up with this is it. And so you weren't brash with it. You were very respectful and very refined in the way that you delivered that tagline, that slogan. But again, you asked me the question, how do you? But in that scenario, I was like, well, he said that. He could have just gone, well, I'm the only, and just given the line and been all arrogant, but you weren't. And I think that says that you believe in what you're doing, but also you believe in being respectful as well. So that 30 seconds, I think, is very important for the relationship that we have going forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, buddy. You've said the biggest wins with AI are often outside of the creative department. What do you mean by that?
So obviously, when we give these speeches and these talks on stage, we need to have some numbers to back up what we're rabbiting on about. One of the biggest things that we found, and we've delivered we were part of a delivery team for Festival Middle East this year, in Dubai, where we put on a 2-hour AI lab for print service providers. And the biggest thing that we were sharing was find the 1%, find the 1%, find the 1%. What do I mean by that? Well, let's not just get caught up on integrating your workflow. That needs to happen anyway, right? And you don't need AI in the world or not. You should do that anyway. Let's focus on using AI tools in every department in the business. So the whole conversation came up where one PSP, slightly grumpy, said, "Oh, I knows how to sell print anymore." He actually used the F word, but and you shouldn't swear in the Middle East. But anyway, you shouldn't swear anyway, actually. But you remind me of that at the next D-Scoop party. And he had a good point. But the consultants were saying, "Okay, great. So your sales team aren't selling properly. What do you mean by that? Oh, the detail, lack of this, lack of that. Okay, fine." Then the consultant moved the question back to him and said, "But is your HR team doing this right? Is marketing doing this right?" And what the point he was leading down the path to saying is you can get 1% or get an hour a day back by using AI tools within mundane tasks, right?
Yeah.
So very high level, very basic example would be a note taker on a call. Having if you're struggling, if English is your second language, but you're dealing with an English customer base, it's translation tools for, say, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, right? So he put the metrics up of 1 hour and what that looks like for HRs, for sales, for marketing, blah, blah, blah. And it was huge. It was a day a week, right? So that message really is, let's go back to business activities and how each team performs first. So I go back to that individual in her 60s and empowering her. So AI has led to her being empowered. She's got more confidence. She's got a day back a week, and she's going to probably work into her 70s, but not as hard as she would have done if she hadn't had those tools. That's a prime example of how to adopt it as a business.
Yeah.
Then there's the other piece with the integration and the software piece, which I think, as I say, that should be done anyway. You know, you shouldn't be buying or running a press if you're not got your software and your data sorted.
If someone listening in wants to take a first step with AI, where should they start realistically?
I would take a minute and look at your systems and your processes. And it's boring, it's painful, but you need to look at what each department is doing, how they operate, and what their KPIs and objectives are, right? That's the first thing. And then what will happen from that is you'll see the blockers, and then you'll be like, right, what can we do to improve that? So let's say you're a small business and you've got one accounts person. That to me screams is right, you know, we need more productivity, but we can't afford to hire someone. That's when you would use that. So you need to do some kind of audit. That's what you need to do. And obviously we have multiple consultants and probably in your network as well that you do as well. But that's where I would start. You get some outside influence, someone that can help you audit your business. And you need to look at it as the business, not your software and AI. You've got to kind of part the AI piece and then AI will be a software solution for the business. And it's that mindset that you need to think about.
Yeah, definitely. Someone had forwarded me, I think it might have been Emma Ferguson actually, but I'd watched a video and it was just kind of training the mindset into looking at your systems and processes. Like I've now got a yellow sticky note on my screen, as this particular chap in the video had suggested, and literally every time I sit down to do a task, how can AI help me with this? And honestly, like I use I use it probably 70% of the day. Even things like you're talking about with the note takers. Obviously, there's AI built into the platform we use to record the podcast to make that
fantastic. Yeah,
kind of come out better quality, and like just so many different aspects of the day to day for any business, but particularly in our industry as well. So it's. Can
I just chuck something into Colin? Something that we're really, really pushing hard with our customers is authenticity. And what do I mean by that? Well, we're going to be awash with fake content. We are now, but we're going to be
100%.
And it's going to become too much. I read a stat this week about marketeers needing to switch off from social media because it's just too much. There's too much volume. So what's going to happen next year and beyond is it's going to be more and more important for CEOs and business owners to be more authentic with their content. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean unpolished. Get onto LinkedIn, film yourself talking up to Lance, one of your guests previously, right? He's very, very good at this. He gets on, he'll go for a walk. That is what would be seen as authentic content, and therefore people will validate the message more, because it's very easy to create those images of the dolls and stuff, and everyone else is doing it. It's a great trend. It's good fun. But actually, when you've got a business critical message that you need to sell product, you're not going to get it through to your target audience if they're just inundated with crap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're pushing the message with a lot of our CEOs now that they need to be doing stuff like this, talking to you, for example. They need to be on podcasts. They need to be doing webinars. They need to be doing things that take time, prove that they're real people, you know, and that content will supersede. So the human element will be just as important in the AI era as all of the tools as well. And that's something that we're very keen to push.
Yeah, a couple of things. I completely agree with you here. It's certainly something I'm trying to push my clients down the road of doing more, because there is so much content on LinkedIn, and you and I we know enough. We look at certain things and you just know it's not been written authentically. But again, you've got other situations coming into the mix. So like I had a client send me a clip of another podcast episode, and actually it was completely AI generated. It sounded authentic. It sounded like it was two people having a conversation about his business. But actually it was completely, there was no human element involved there at all, apart from what the prompt was. On the other side of that, I am sadly now seeing a lot of, not sadly, because it can be very clever and smart, actually. That was the wrong word. But you've got a lot of educators out there creating video content. And to the untrained eye, looks very genuine. It looks like it is actually them. But in fact, it's not. And I'm a bit split on this just now, because there's a part of me thinks that's absolute genius, and there's a part of me that kind of feels like it's taken away that authenticity. What would you say to that yourself?
Yeah, like I agree with you. The problem is we've got no power over it. It's just going to happen. And those that don't believe in proper marketing, because marketing generally there's two types of people, or probably more than two, but marketing's just fluff. It's just hot, whatever. Yeah, that mindset would be, I'm not going to pay for marketing service if I can just do an AI generated video. Great. And the other problem with that is there's going to be lots of that stuff created. So then it'll be lost. If you go down that route, you'll be lost in there. There's two other things to think about here as well. We've also got fake content being created. Okay, so we've got people's image, their reputation is probably going to be affected. And I saw something frightening the other day about somebody that was caught for something they didn't do, and they protest their innocence, and it was CCTV footage showing them that they'd said something and done it, and it was all AI generated. What they'd done is taken the sound and their mouth and everything else, and if they hadn't been able to get the original footage and have it monitored, they couldn't have proven that the actual clip was fake. So that's quite concerning. The other thing that's going to happen as well is data, especially in Europe. The GDPR situation is going to be quite complex, because there's a lot of data moving about at the moment, unregulated, and at some point there's going to be a problem. So I see over here all this stuff, this noise going on, right? I see lots of fake content. I see lawsuits for like big brands in defamation. I see GDPR issues, and I'm just slowly moving here, going, yeah, that's great. Let's use AI for productivity, but let's stay authentic. Let's create good videos. Let's get online. Let's talk like we are now.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. I think, the AI piece needs to settle in. It needs to bed in. I don't really think we know what that world looks like, and I think until all those things and all those negative side of things get sorted, because what would you do? I mean, it's a real concern. What would you do if somebody took your face and your voice and then created something that could destroy your life?
Yeah, I've seen it. Who was it? It was Stephen Bartlett had been talking about it. There's a lot of people taking his face and voice and creating, and he's getting people messaging him saying, "I bought this course from you," and he's like, "That was not me. That was not me in the video." And so it's a real problem, and like you say, you can't really stop it. It's going to keep happening, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't. Well, you worry about what you can control, right? So.
Is at this point in the podcast we tell the audience that it's not actually us that are talking?
That's very clever.
Tell me about GCC. What's that all about?
Yeah, so actually, I'll give you a little bit of an update on that. So after FESPA Middle East, the AI conversation here is crazy. Why here? Because they believe it's compulsory in education now. So AI education is part of the main syllabus all across the UAE. It's coming out to Oman. The GCC is like the equivalent of the Gulf region's European Union, if you like. It's a collection of companies: Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Oman. And basically, they do business together, and they make it very easy to sell and export without extra costs, so they generally stick together. So the AI piece is not only going to be in the next generation coming out of all the schools, mandatory, but if you live in the UAE and you're a resident, you're likely to get free ChatGPT or Claude or something paid for by the government. So they're really aggressive on enforcing the learning of it, which I think is good. I was explaining to someone the other day, they were saying to me about the private schools that we're at here, my daughters are at, and they were saying, that they don't have many kids going to Oxford or Cambridge. And I said, but why would you want that? I said, your child's 6 now. By the time he or she goes to school, is Oxford or Cambridge the right place to go? And he said, well, what do you mean by that, Chris? I said, well, the world's changing at such a pace. I would be looking at industries, tech innovation, probably looking east rather than looking west, and people that are embracing that in the education system now. So there's lots of consultants here because of it in the Middle East, and we wanted to put something together, and it was called ChatGCC, and it's a collection of professionals who work on AI projects, basically. And it can be anything from people like Microsoft, Xerox, for customers, or everything else. So I was just facilitating that, really. And what's happened, if I'm honest, print GCC has been born out of it, because the print industry need a community out here. I've working with those guys. I've sort of set up a free to join community, and it'll be podcast webinars, free assets, and it's all about bringing the print industry in the Middle East, the sort of things we have in the Western world, D-Scoops, FESPAs, IPAs and stuff. So FESPA kicked it off. They were the big catalyst, really. They got some great feedback from their event last year, and a lot of the PSPs were saying, we felt left out until FESPA came into town, and it was really nice to hear that. So it's community, mate. It's community, and it's just sharing ideas, sharing resources. And then, if there's challenges that the PSPs have out here with automation or suppliers, if there's somebody I can bring in from D-Scoop or wherever to help with that, then it just educates and keeps it moving. And you never know when the Northern Hemisphere, Western world will need, and vice versa, and they could be a thing. So, and I've seen it in Iraq, I've seen it in Dubai. There's a lot of Brits that have got a very big print background that have moved here and got very successful print businesses, but they bring a lot of that education and experience with them, and it pays off. So, labour of love, passion project.
Yeah, good for you, buddy. Good for you. And another passion project, that's a nice segue. Thanks for lining me up for this.
No,
Is Sheet for Brains. Now,
yeah.
am I right in saying this was launched at D-Scoop Long Beach Edge? Was that the launch?
You could say that. I mean, basically, long and short of it is, I was working with Jessica Cola GPA and Dave Rosendahl Mindfire. We were just preparing for Disc Indianapolis, and we were just webinars, basically driving traffic to the booths for the show, and we were covering human sustainability. And we both basically said, people are struggling. It's tough. We always make out everything's good, but actually it's okay to say it's not good. You know, can't make the bills. I can't pay, whatever cost of utilities running a factory are going through the roof, paper shortages, wars kicking off everywhere. I think at the time we just had the Gaza situation kick off. Ukraine was still going on. Like, it's just a nightmare for a printer, a global printer. So we all went to D-Scoot, and then John Bailey got up on stage, sort of did his goodbye speech, and he was very authentic and very raw and very much said very vulnerable and basically making it acceptable to be vulnerable. So he came off, and then the four of us just got chatting, and we all knew each other, but not as a group. We just decided that having spoken to a couple of other business owners actually at Indianapolis, that they were actually struggling. Yeah, and actually there's no kind of support mechanism. When we discussed it in a more detail, it was more than just mental health. So we were like, this is more than just mental health. This is about the industry and where the industry is going. So Sheet for Brains really is sort of 7 pillars. We look at mental health, we look at work-life balance, we look at being a female in the print industry. How can we change that? Next generation, how can you be a business owner, and are you preparing to hand off to the next generation coming through? Do you have a succession planning? Substance abuse. How many of us get through the week because of alcohol and drugs like that? And that's a serious question, right? So we were like, we were brought in, okay, and there was some like naysayers going, "Oh, what do you know about mental health? You're not qualified." No, I'm not. But we can be facilitators, and that's what we will do. So we signed up to the four of us to bring assets into the space to help. And our whole mantra is to help the one. Yeah. So we help one person per session. We've done our job. Now we've opened Pandora's box. There's a huge issue with all areas of health in general. So what happened was we had a kickoff campaign after Indianapolis, and all it was like a online webinar. We picked one of the topics. It's a private session, so you register, and then everything that goes on in there is kept in there. It's code of conduct, etc. And then we have a professional that will give a framework or resource so that you can take away something tangible to help you with that particular situation. And Dees got behind it. They backed it day one, and then basically said, "We'll give you a booth at Long Beach, and we'll give you a session." And we were like, "Wow, okay, so this is getting serious." So we went to Long Beach. Obviously, I saw you there. We had a 20 by 10 booth, which was fairly big, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And again, I say Pandora's box because the amount of people that came up and shared their stories that hadn't heard, and then we were like, wow. And then the amount of media partners that came over and offered to support it as well. And it was brilliant. And the session was, I think the room was packed. I think you were in the session, weren't you?
I was. I did. And you know, it could easily have ran on 3 or 4 hours. It was really impactful. It was probably one of my favourite sessions of the event, if I'm honest.
I'll pay you later for saying that. And it was, I think, I was chatting to Peter Van Teesing, and it was one of the most attended sessions. It needed to be longer. So it was our first official event, but we've been going since Indianapolis. And we met last week in Atlanta. Actually, we were there at the GEC and HP, and we were planning 2026. And I can't say too much right now, but it's just gonna get bigger because it has to. It has to.
Yeah.
Because it's basically, we're doing this for the love of humanity, but actually we all believe in the industry, but the industry is, I keep saying it, it's tough. And we need to sort of bring people in that can volunteer and help to give us frameworks and assets to get through it. I mean, our last session we had was on trauma and PTSD, and I took that one, and it was about my brother-in-law who unfortunately took his own life. And the point I was trying to make was he was ex-military, right? And he came out of the military, and he 3 times went to the NHS and said, I'm going to kill myself. And unfortunately, on the 3rd time, they just sent him packing, and then within an hour, he took his own life. Now, the point I was trying to make was we associate PTSD and trauma just with military and people in the public services. But the expert we had on there was explaining that actually it can be anything from an event in business, for example. And then what's transpired from that conversation is, if you are a PSP or business owner, any business owner, and you went through COVID, right? The shutdowns, lockdowns, your business situation, the trauma or the PTSD symptoms will be coming out now because everything's calmed down from that survival mechanism of getting through that. And then we've got like a pandemic now, mental health pandemic off the back of that, right? So that was the point of that session. And again, it was amazing. We put out a white paper afterwards with some resources, giving out helplines and stuff. And there's people that I didn't even think about who are business owners who are probably dealing with the aftermath of COVID now.
This is the thing. Like, we all probably know someone who's not quite bounced back the way that the way they were before that happened. And again, we all go through, as business owners, we all go through different experiences throughout kind of our career that probably have a longer lasting impact on us than what we think as well. So, no, listen, kudos to you guys. I really enjoyed the session out there. I'd like to get more involved in more sessions. Actually, I need to put time aside for that, because I think what you're doing is amazing, and just having conversations that we don't do enough of, and just as you said about John, just showing that vulnerable side, and just, I think men are particularly not very good at it, and I encourage it. I think we all need to speak more openly, and if we're struggling, have a community that we can reach out to and have those awkward conversations. But we always feel better once we've done it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if what we need is your help, people like your network, to sort of get behind it. And what I mean by that is we don't want money necessarily. Yeah. We want, when we put a session out, to share it so we get more people in. Because we've got, like a private members base at the moment. There's about 200 members. They're all 200 members that are in a private space where we discuss these things. We want to grow that because there's more than 200 people in the industry that need help. So where we rely on people like you, Colin, is say, well, there's a session about trauma PTSD next week. Join it, guys. It might be, because it's not necessarily the individual joining it. They might have people in their teams or their company that need that resource. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to share your details at the end anyway, but just while we're speaking about Sheet for Brains, if anyone wants to find out about it, where do they go?
Yeah, so at the moment we're predominantly running out of a private group on LinkedIn, but it'll be the sheetforbrains.org website, which is launching pretty soon. But I'll put the link to the LinkedIn page and the LinkedIn group below. What we want to do, in essence, is get people into that private group, because that's where we can, the 4 of us can share more content. And also, you can be vulnerable, honest with us, and you're not going to be judged. You're safe in that safe space, if that makes sense.
Yeah, nice. I have barely got through half the questions that I wanted to ask you today. I've just looked at the time. We're going to have to get you back on at some point for a second episode, but I've got a quick fire lightning round for you to work us towards the finale. You're sitting down, you're ready. I've got 8 or 9 questions for you. What's your go-to creative ritual when you're stuck on a big idea?
Go out for a walk.
Nice. A bit of fresh air doesn't do any harm. What's one trend you wish would just disappear?
I think it's going to have to be the AI doll.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if anyone's made them. Colin, if you haven't, apologise now. But it's just taking up headspace on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did get a bit carried away.
Yeah.
Who's the one person in the print or marketing world that you drop everything to collaborate with?
I would probably say, and I am working with him on Shoot for Brains, John Bailey at the moment, because he is he's a closet marketeer. He won't like me saying that. He also understands production and manufacturing, and he also understands networks and everything. So I'd probably say John. Yeah.
Cool. What's the most unexpected place you've ever found inspiration? Why?
Because I was there, and then all of a sudden we've got Shoot for Brains, and I was there for someone else. And I don't know. I just cannot even tell you how that came together.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say the shower or something. I didn't expect it to be
there's someone else.
Yeah, we'll save that for Orlando.
Yeah.
What's a brand you think absolutely nails storytelling?
Do you know what? It's going to sound really weird. I really like Red Bull. I don't recommend you drink it, but I like the fact that they tell a story without telling a story. Let's take that. If you get 5 minutes today, go and look at their Instagram. Their Instagram doesn't sell cans of Red Bull; it sells lifestyle. So what it says to you very cleverly is, if you drink Red Bull, you can jump off a cliff with a parachute, or you can climb up a cliff and then on a BMX or something. You know what I mean? It's crazy stuff they do. Formula One, but they sell this vision that that do you know what I mean? So they're telling the story without telling the story.
Yeah,
bright, powerful, energetic. We've got it here. We've got big like DJ presence here in Muscat, and the Red Bull DJs turn up, and they're mental, absolutely mental. They even jump in the pool with their headphones and stuff still connected to the. But it's this whole energy thing. So they tell the story without showing the product. Drinking, you know what I mean? Whereas if you were going to go to another drinks manufacturer, you'd see the can with it, just sit there, you know. Yeah.
No, good example. Good example. What's a small daily habit that keeps you grounded?
Okay, so since I've moved out here, like I mentioned to you earlier, lifestyle is very different, and balance is the key. So one of the things I'm very lucky is I do the school run in the morning, which I wouldn't have been able to do if I was in the UK. That's the first thing I'm very grateful for. And then I have about an hour and a half before work starts, because school starts a lot earlier here. School starts about 7 o'clock. So I go to the gym every day, and what I do is I show up. And what I mean by that is even if I don't feel great, I would just go and do a very light flush session, get fresh blood in the head, and watch the news while I'm on the treadmill, or I do stretching, whatever else. Some days I do heavy weights, whatever. But just showing up every day just sets you up for the day, sets the mindset right, allows you to process things in your head from the previous day, what you need to do for that day. And it's just again, it brings balance to the day. So you can spend the rest of the day doing all this digital stuff, talking to you and working, and you know. And then when I travel, I try very hard to keep that in the traveling as well. So last week in Atlanta, I tried to do that every day as well before, and that routine builds consistency, and I think that helps.
I'll see you in the gym next week then.
Sounds good. Are we in the same hotel, aren't we?
I think we are, yeah. And they've got a really good gym actually. So I'll be down there. I'll be down there every morning as well.
Good.
Now I've got an accountability buddy.
I might better help you with some of your mileage, you know.
I wish I hadn't said now. Right, moving on.
Just getting the example, just
Yeah. If I can get a few kilometres in the treadmill, I'll be doing well. What's the last thing you nerded out about that had nothing to do with work?
Do you know what? It's really hard, because every time I see something technical, I wonder how I can bring it into work. I saw something the other day actually that had nothing to do with print, but actually has everything to do with print, and that's what. I don't want to give too much away. We're working on something at the moment with a partner. Involves a bit of AI and QR codes and direct mail and print and stuff. I really nerded over that. I was very lucky on the flight back from Atlanta. We had Starlink on the aircraft. Unlucky or unlucky, I don't know, but very lucky. And I was able to have a full demo of this. And it's just cool, and it's just I liked it because I can see it helping many people in many verticals. But of course, print first because print matters. So
Absolutely.
Start there.
Good answer. That's the first I've heard about Starlink on a flight as well.
Yeah.
So
Qatar.
All right.
Yeah. I was blown away by it, and it's free. It was free.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I was a bit skeptical. I was like, oh, if anything, actually, Colin, I nerded over the Starlink on Qatar. That's probably the shorter answer.
Yeah.
But it was, again, is this where we're going? Aircraft now, if they're in the sky and the satellites are over it, then it makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I must admit, it's game changing. I installed Starlink about 3 weeks ago, and the difference it's made. Even doing things like this, that was a kickstart. I was actually trying to record the episode with Lance Hill, and the internet just wasn't good enough. And now it's just phenomenal, and I get so much more done quickly as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to your quick fire lightning round. 3 more questions. What's your favourite piece of marketing swag that you've ever received?
Oh, I'm looking at it. Can I go and grab it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's Printing United again, and it's disruptive, and it's a mini Chris, right? And it was working with these guys in Focus and Electron, and this was basically a mini-me and personalization. Now, this is a bit bent and crumpled. It's a couple of years old and it's travelled across the world. I like this, and I keep this because it reminds me of keeping stuff that actually isn't very important, but it tells you that emotional attachment with something personal.
Yeah.
So I always try and have that in the office. So I'm like, right, can we get something that would get that emotional attachment to what our customers are doing? So mini Chris, there you go.
Desktop cardboard cutout of your good self. Beautiful. Second last question. Biggest myth about AI that drives you nuts?
I don't think we know, if I'm honest. I'd like to say you're all going to lose your jobs. That's a myth, but I don't think it is necessarily a myth. I think those that don't adapt to it will. But I don't actually know, if I'm honest, and I don't think any of us do. You've got some people in government saying it needs to be restrained and called back. You've got some people saying it needs to be let go. We've got politicians now being replaced by. I don't know. Is the answer, and I don't think we will know for a while. But I think you all need to lean in, and then you need to know what you don't know.
No, completely agree, buddy. Okay, last one in the quick fire. Describe the future of print in just 3 words. Exciting,
innovative, and inclusive.
Love it. Now, we've come to that magical moment in the episode where I come to my signature closing question. And I ask you to share one thing about yourself that nobody else in the print industry is likely to know about you.
Well, you might know now because I think I told you at the beginning of this call, but I used to be a track and field athlete, and I used to be very healthy, didn't touch alcohol, be very boring, go to bed early, hardly any body fat. I used to live in pre-training, and now I can be further from that if I try. I just have to say the sporting background is very, very good in terms of mindset, focus, discipline and stuff. So I'd say, I was a track and field athlete. I competed internationally for Ireland. I know I sound...
For Ireland, yeah.
Yeah, for Ireland. So when it comes to the rugby, I have to say I do switch allegiances. I have 2 passports. So, that's probably it, really. But it feels like a lifetime ago now, Colin. Honestly, I can't even remember how I managed to do it, to be honest.
But you're obviously still looking after yourself, and albeit kind of, I guess, some little habits of kind of little bad habits, but you still look after yourself, and I think that balances it out, doesn't it?
I think the objective's different. I think the objective now is for health and stress management and stuff. So I think if you the healthier you are in your body, the more you can deal with what life throws at you. And I think also, it's going to sound morbid, but as you get older, you've got to think about keeping the body in shape to just maintain, right? So when I spoke to my old athletics coach back in the summer, and he said, you need to keep the weights going into your 50s and 60s. And he wasn't talking about training in terms of racing and competing. He's talking because your body needs to be strong and stable just to hold itself up, So I think so, buddy. I think I'd urge anyone, especially through the Sheep for Brain stuff we've done. I'd urge anyone to really look after themselves as the older they get, because your body will needs you. You've abused it in the earlier years, and therefore it needs to be looked after.
Yeah, I've abused mine in the later years as well. So no, I'm completely with you. And as we spoke about offline, I've actually signed up to a marathon which I'll be running in Milan in April. And I'm using that. I've done quite a few. I've run 10 marathons in the past, but my body in its current physical state is not in shape to take it on. So that's my focus to try and. But yeah, we do as we get older, and again, just a healthy body, healthy mind, healthy business. It's all connected, isn't it? Anyway, I have taken up way too much of your time today. I really appreciate you giving up your time to come and join us on the podcast today, and I look forward to seeing you next week in Orlando. What's the best way if anyone wants to reach out to you and connect? What's the best way to do so?
Yeah, so digitalink.co is our website, but I'm LinkedIn. I'm all about LinkedIn. Get me on LinkedIn. We can share the details here. More than happy to speak to anyone if they've need any advice or just want an audit or whatever we can help them with. We're more than happy. But yeah, LinkedIn, and we can take it from there.
Excellent, buddy. Well, listen, thanks again for joining us, and we'll no doubt have you back on again soon in the future as well. See you next week, buddy. Take care.